Welcome to our podcast Reel, where God gives revelation through experiences to live your authentic life through Christ.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Renee,
And we're talking truth, hope, and a whole lot of love from above.
Would you like to just give us a rundown on how we started getting close and what that looked like through our traumatized state and through our healing?
I would say it really started a few years ago, especially when I kind of invited you to a few events. We spent some time together, but
Right.
we didn't really spend a lot of time. And it was more so because you're closer to my kid's age and you guys got along. So it was a chance to be there for you, but because of our age gap, it was tailored towards the kids spending time with their uncle rather than spending time directly with you.
Right. And can you recall the exact question that kind of put me into gear as to why I should be or would be seeking a relationship?
Yeah, it started when I invited you and mom and dad. You just hung out with us afterwards to a little fair type thing.
It's like a homestead thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, we just kind of started, I don't know, we kind of had a heart to heart. It was very baseline, but I think that's the first time that we dipped in to see. And I remember asking, I don't think I really asked. I think I told you that I didn't think you wanted a relationship because you've never asked to just hang out with me. And I assumed that 16 years age gap, I'm a mom, you're new to the world, that you probably wouldn't want to.
Right.
You're 8 years from my kids.
Yeah.
It makes more sense why you would want to hang out with them and not me.
Right. Right. And I find it kind of cool how after that, it was like a switch just.
Yeah. Which was the first time that it showed me that you're different and that you're far more mature for your age, because I wouldn't seek out to hang out with somebody 16 years younger than me either.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of things I would assume that we probably couldn't hang out for very long because our seasons of life are totally different.
Right.
But it was the first time I saw I can tell you something and you took it to heart. And that was weird to see somebody so young, because you were 16 or 15?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I think I had just gotten into high school at the time.
Yeah. And you took it to heart and self-reflected. And I'm like, did he just do that? Because I think it was like a week later, you were like, so when are we going out? And you were like, and not with the boys. Just you and me one-on-one. And I was like, wait, what?
Kind of took you aback a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How would you describe it from your side?
From my side, I mean, it's weird because my high school years just kind of flew by so fast.
Fair.
I barely have much memory of that day and that whole span of 2-3 weeks that we started to hang out more.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember that heart to heart whenever you had brought that up, and then we started, or I think it was before that we started talking about our sister and just everything that she's done and whatnot, and that she just basically treats me like I'm nobody. And then you said that, and that flicked a switch in me where I don't know exactly how to explain it from my perspective, considering it was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And in my time, that was a long time ago, because I'm only 19, so that makes sense.
True, but you've grown a lot in that time period where that is almost like a whole nother person. So
It is, yeah.
I get why it's hard to go backwards.
What I remember from that time was thinking, you are my sister, and why haven't I wanted to spend more time with you? I always had the mentality of just letting people do it for themselves or for others. I would never do it for myself.
You would never do what for yourself?
Seek out a relationship or anything like that. It was always that it just kind of happened, and I never really understood the intentionality that went along with it. And whenever you said that, that snapped the intentionality concept into my head, into the little module slot. It just kind of like, boop, you know?
Yeah.
And after that point, I started realizing, not for the first time knowing,
Yeah.
but coming more into the realization of the fact that a relationship does require two people, and it does require intentionality from both parties.
Right.
That's what a lot of people don't understand nowadays, is that, oh, he doesn't do this, oh, she doesn't do this, oh, they don't do this for me, so I'm out. Excuse me? You have to be able to take accountability for your side. If you can check yourself and know for a fact that you are doing everything that you possibly can in your power, and then look at the other person and say, they are not meeting my needs when I have tried to meet their needs for however long, okay, now I'm out because I have a reason.
That's true, but again, that goes back to the communication. Had
Yes.
we not had that conversation where I told you my side of why I never reached out to you, because I explained there's a 16-year age gap. I don't really expect for you to want to hang out with your older sister who's got her own life, husband, kids. You're not even in that world. You're not
Right.
even thinking about that world at your age.
Yeah.
And so to explain my side to it, I think was crucial. Had I not ever explained that, I don't think the door would ever be open.
Probably not.
And it's not because you didn't want to,
Mhm.
but you also, I would imagine that subconsciously you probably had the same feeling. Why would I hang out with her?
Right.
What would we have in common? What would we even talk about? And what would we do? Because
Right.
you don't know me
Yeah.
on that level. And we weren't even raised together for you to really know what I was like.
Yeah.
And then you heard a lot from family members of what I was like instead of actually getting a chance to get to know me.
Yeah.
So that had to formulate some of your opinions too.
Right. And it's crazy that we got this close based on a lot, and I mean a lot, of negativity from almost every single family member. Because anytime you were talked about, it was always in a negative context of, oh, she ran away, oh, she did this, oh, she was on this, and she was like blah, 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 blah. And why do we do that? Mistakes are mistakes. Why should we bring them back every single chance we get? That's why we don't hang out with our family anymore, because it's just a lock and load session. We just load each other's guns and then we start shooting.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
That's why you and I both decide to completely isolate ourselves anytime there's a family get together.
Yes.
Because anytime we get into a room with everybody, nobody really likes each other.
Yeah.
Which brings it back to, I'm not entirely sure how we got close when everything that was said about you was negative. But I guess I just decided to formulate my own opinion about you, which probably sparked that, instead of listening to everybody else.
Yeah, but I think you were great at proceeding with caution, but also not taking what others said. I don't know, you found a healthy balance between taking it into consideration, but not letting it dictate what you see,
Yeah. Yeah.
which for your age was a lot of wisdom. Because honestly,
Yeah.
with everything that you heard and how young you were, not to bash on like how young, but with that mentality, you really shouldn't have even have given me a chance. It should have been,
Yeah.
no, I really never thought about hanging out, and that really should have been the end of it.
Yeah.
And I really can't say what sparked the heart-to-heart that day either.
I don't know if I can recall that, because it was a naturally occurring heart to heart that just, it almost seemed like one of us said a word or two and then it just spiraled. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't, hey, I'm going to sit down and I want to talk with you. No, we sat down,
Right.
we were eating, and then we just talked.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of natural conversations that a lot of people don't have
Right.
and don't know how to spark. I know for me, what I used to think, and that's changing now, but what I used to think is that a conversation that is elicited by you being intentional isn't natural. That's what the stigma that I had for a long time
Yeah.
because it was forced.
Got
But
it.
after you get past that initial, I need to ask a question or I need to say something in order for this conversation to be sparked, after you get past that initial question or statement or whatever it may be, then past that, the conversation is natural because you're just talking about a topic.
Yeah.
It was forced in the beginning, yes, but it is not forced throughout the conversation if you truly have a connection with that person.
Yeah. I also think it's a matter of saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
Me just presenting it on the table, of me just telling you, is it weird that we're 16 years apart? How do you feel about that? Do you even want a relationship with me?
Yeah.
And then you instantly were like, well, yeah, I do. And I said, well, you've never reached out. You've never asked me to go somewhere. I've taken you as a kid here and there to some places, but you've never asked and called me. But yet our sister, who we don't get along with, has called and asked me and tried to formulate that, and it didn't work. And then that was really the moment you were like, actually, that's fair.
Yeah.
I haven't. And I was like, wait a minute, did he just take accountability? I just called you out on something. You took accountability. Not only did you take accountability, but you took it into consideration and then immediately changed. It wasn't 6 months later that you called me and was like, so do you want to maybe hang out? Or, I mean, you sent me a very direct text and said, when can we go out? And just you and me, not the boys. And I was like, I remember looking at James and going, Caleb just asked me out. He just asked for us to hang, just him and I. And I was like, I think our conversation really got to him. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I think, not to sound prideful or anything of the such, but I do think that I am more mature for my age than anybody else in a stereotype.
Absolutely.
I'm not specifically saying, oh, I'm more mature than everybody. No, I'm
No,
not.
no, no,
I
no.
know I'm not. But the fact that I was able to do that, number one, at 15 or 16
Yeah.
in high school,
Yes.
that's kind of crazy to me, specifically knowing the kind of people that were my peers in high school.
That's true.
I guess I never at that time put it into perspective as to how different I was than everybody else.
That's fair.
I always knew that I was different, or I guess more mature, or however you want to say it, but I never really put that into perspective of what that means, the implications of it, how that could benefit me, and how it could possibly be a detriment because people would look at me as a kid but not intentionally try to get to know me, and in turn completely throw away somebody who could have been valuable to them, which is what people do often.
Yeah.
And I think that the Tuttle twins, although they are for children, honestly, everybody could learn things from them. Because I just had your oldest play it,
Right.
and in the car on the way back home or just during DoorDash, and he played it for me out loud because he wanted me to listen to it. And it was talking about a couple of different effects and how one action can warp or twist our perception of a singular person just based on that one circumstance, because we give ourselves more grace than we do other people.
Yeah.
It did a specific scenario, and I'm going to kind of shorten it just so we can get to the point. But it said something along the lines of when person A sees person B having a rough day and, I don't know, being frustrated, throwing something, whatever, they immediately think person A immediately thinks person B is always like that.
Yeah.
Because we automatically have that stigma, and it just snaps into place, and we think nothing about it. Because that's how our brains have been wired over however long.
Right.
But that isn't true, and it's crazy because we give ourselves so much grace on that. When we have a tough day, we get super frustrated, whatever, and then the next day we're like, you know what? Yesterday it was a tough day, but today's a great day. I'm doing much better today. It's all good. I'm not a horrible person.
Yeah.
But we see somebody else do the same thing, and we're like, dang.
You got an attitude
Yeah,
problem.
like attitude. Like, no, we don't need to. That's a double standard
Yeah.
of, oh, I'm going to give myself grace, but that person, no, I can't give grace over there. No. That's just dumb. That's idiotic behavior because it's saying that you're going to do something for yourself and then not applying it to everybody else. That just sounds stupid.
True, but I think with how you were raised and because people put stigma, especially like our family put a stigma on you, even though you were the baby and honestly growing up you could do no wrong.
Oh yeah, no, they never really saw any wrong in me, and honestly I kind of hated it. Because
Still do.
I still do. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Because anytime either you or Daphne screwed up, it was immediate, that's a horrible child. And then I made a mistake, and they were like, "Oh, it's okay, honey. You're good. You know, everybody makes mistakes. They had so much grace for me, but none for y'all."
But I think seeing that let you see things in a different light and a different perspective. So then that kind of goes back into what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good.
Right. Right.
And I think it's crazy how, I mean, obviously Daphne was raised in the same environment that you and I were raised. Yes,
Yep.
there's a massive age gap between all of us,
Right.
except for you and Daphne.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm 11 years apart from her. I'm 16 years apart from you. I wasn't really raised one-on-one with you guys, but
Right.
we were still raised in the same environment.
Yeah.
And I think it's crazy how your mentality can still change. Because you saw things, you don't do them. Because
Right.
I saw things, I don't do them.
Yeah.
Because she saw things, she does them.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense to me just because I don't understand how anybody can see something bad and then see how it affects that person and then says, "You know what? I want to do that and destroy my life." That doesn't make sense to me. Because especially with children, a lot of children see dysfunction and then they grow up and they don't reflect on that and say, that was crappy, I don't want to do that. It's not that the kid version of them should have seen that, but the adult version of them should see that and should have enough sense to say, I don't want to live my life like that. That was dumb.
But again, that goes back to the double standard
Yeah.
of too much grace for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, there should be grace. It's kind of an oxymoron because I think people give
Yeah.
themselves too much grace, but then not enough grace in certain areas.
Yeah.
But without accountability and self-reflecting, you're inevitably going to become the thing that you didn't want to become.
Yep.
And so somewhere God wired us and we took that in and said, I don't want to be that, and set us apart.
Yep.
And that's a lot of times what God says, when you're chosen, you are set apart. And I think that that's really more what happened. And it's not that everybody isn't chosen. Everybody is chosen. But
Right.
you get the choice as well
Right.
to accept being chosen or not.
Yes.
And somewhere with our wiring, we accepted that and it made things different.
Yeah.
Because it gave you a chance to actually get to know me.
Yep.
When realistically, everything that you've ever heard about me, because I left when you were 1.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything you've heard about me, you honestly should have put up a wall 10 feet high and not wanted to get to know me at all.
Yes.
Can you recall, I know it was a few years ago, so maybe you can't, but if you were to go back, can you even recall what made you, after that comment, even want to try?
I think at the time, even through my trauma and everything that I had been through, that a part of me still wanted to give chances to people. And at that time, I was way too giving with chances, but that still worked to the good of our relationship because it gave you more chances
Yeah.
to show, hey, I'm not that person that you heard about. I am completely different.
Yeah.
And that showed me it's okay to let go of people's pasts. A lot of people don't understand that concept of it's in the past and they're a different person. I understand if they're not a different person. That makes total sense.
Right.
You still should forgive them, but that doesn't mean you need to take it. But if that person went back and changed and reflected on themselves and then presents themselves as a new person to you, and you still say, no, you did this in your past, I don't like you. Attitude, first of all. Second of all, that's just not right, because you would give yourself that kind of grace. It's in your past. Okay, I'm not that person anymore. And then again, you look at somebody else and you say, no.
But even when we don't give ourselves that grace, we expect that grace to be given to us.
Yeah,
Is
which
that
is good.
common complaint from people? Is I wish
Yeah.
people would see me. I wish people would understand how I got here. Okay, but are you doing that?
Yeah,
Then it goes, treat others how you want to be treated. Are you putting out that same energy where
Yeah.
you're gonna, which you're really good at. You're really good at being able to, I don't know how many times I've talked about my past and I'm like, does it make you feel weird to know some things now about me? Does it make you see me different? And you said no. And I asked you why. And you said, because the Bible says you're made new again. So I don't know who that was, but the person that I know, that's not her. But you waited to see the fruit. We didn't just jump into this and instantaneously we got close, which I think is where a lot of people make a mistake.
right.
Is not guarding their heart, just jumping in, giving
Yeah.
everybody the whole ocean, and then they get upset when somebody mistreats them. Instead of just tiptoeing in and seeing where it goes.
Yeah, and I think that what you said before, they give themselves grace, but also they don't give themselves grace, and then they expect grace. It's a double standard.
Yeah. If that's even a thing.
If that's
gonna
even,
be like
it's gonna be that specific thing if that's even
a thing.
a thing. It's a double standard. I'm gonna call it that now. I've coined it. Coined by Caleb. Hey, that's a new thing. Coined by Caleb. That's me. That's me. But I think that really puts into perspective how much of a miracle and how much of a blessing that our conversations have led into this beautiful relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
Although not perfect, we still have super good communication. Could be better in some respects,
Yeah, absolutely.
but we're able to be super blunt with each other, call each other out on anything practically, and then just take it and be, you know what? Yeah, that sucked. So I'm gonna fix that. And then we actually see fruits from each other, which is awesome. I really wish that other people had that kind of I don't know how to put it, that much of a gall, I guess, to be blunt with everybody. Not be rude or completely ununderstanding. Yep, that's words. Ununderstanding of others. Misunderstanding of others. There's the words. And then just throw it in their face. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I do wish that everybody could be super blunt, not rude, not an a-hole, just direct, to the point. This is how I see it. This is how I feel. I've checked myself. I know I'm not being rude or anything. Your emotions are your emotions. I'm going to let you deal with those.
Yeah. But I think the key takeaway is saying that quiet part out loud
Yes.
and truly understanding, being able to just voice what you're thinking. Me saying, I just didn't think you wanted a relationship. I mean, after all, we're 16 years apart.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Which still let you know the door's open
Yeah.
if you want it. I'm not sure where it'll go either because
Yeah.
I get it. I don't know if I want to hang out all the time. I don't know if we're going to be close. but I'm still going to lay it out there and let you know the door is open.
Yeah.
And I put the ball in your court. And even after that, it wasn't instant. It still was a lot of tiptoeing in, but I think that's
Right.
the key takeaway.
Right.
It's just say the quiet part out loud. Don't
Yes.
be a dick, but say
Yes.
the quiet part out
For
loud.
real.
And
Yes.
maybe that's something in another episode that we can kind of touch base on is what does direct look like,
Yep.
and kind of go over some of our conversations where we've been very direct
Absolutely.
but not been rude.
Yep.
And there is a lot of accountability in order to be that direct with somebody.
Yes. Yes. So I think that was great.
Yeah.
That was a good conversation. We touched a lot of points, and I think that that could possibly help some people grasp more along the lines of how a healthy relationship is formed.
Yeah.
And then in a later episode, we can go more in depth on like how the communication looks
Yeah.
and just how that dynamic works out.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that was great.